Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Money and Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Sheryka Alford, and she is
Anntricia Bray Smith.
Today, we're going to talk about turning your passion into profit. You know, nowadays, especially with so many of us spending time at home the last past year and a half, I think we've probably come up with some creative ways and different hobbies and things that we're doing, and these things that we enjoy doing can kind of bring in another source of income for us. And Trisha, I know over the years you have talked to me about multiple streams of income, and I just kind of looked at you and kind of rolled my eyes and said, I'm not doing
That's
all
no
that.
different than I was looking at you rolling my ass when you kept talking to me about money. Now I'm talking about the streams of income, but I won't hear nothing about money and coming out of debt. So yeah, we right here. I see.
Yeah, because for me, I was like, I'm sitting in my little cushy job, and I go in when I go in, and I leave when I leave, and I get paid when I get paid, and that's that. But watching you, I consider you as being one of the masters of turning your passion into profit. So would you kind of just share with the audience a little bit about what you've accomplished over the last past couple of years as far as that's concerned?
Ooh, over the couple of years. Yeah, well, yeah, over the couple of years, my life has been kind of like a roller coaster. My entire life. Let's just back up. My entire life has been everything less than ideal. I was born and raised in poverty, sexually abused, molested, and so many things that created who I am. More or less, though, out of all I've ever been through, I've never failed to dream. I always knew I was different. I always knew that there was more to me than just on the surface of things. So being able to dream and be creative, I would think about this life, and I would dream about this life to where I was standing in the middle, and there was people all surrounded me, and I was speaking to these people. And as I spoke to these people, their lives began to change. So I knew it was something different in me, because anything that I ever been through, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, it never stopped my dreams. And so my life was always something opposite of that I dreamed. So I would hit these roadblocks. There would be people in my way. I would get an education, or I'd learn a trade, and I'd go to these jobs, and I'd be there for a while. But time after time, things began to get uncomfortable. And one of the behaviors that I picked up was that I run instead of standing my ground, fighting for what is right, because oftentimes I was the one that was right, and what I was coming up against, it just did not seem fair. I just leave. I did not stay and speak. I suffered in the silence of my own traumas, of the rejections, of the pain, of the neglect, all of that stuff. So not only in my personal life, but in my professional life as well, it kind of mirrored each other. And so as I begin to get older and more mature, and still having dreams and aspirations and feeling unfulfilled, one thing I noticed is that I had so much talent that I had not tapped into, and I could not understand, Lord, why do I have all this ability, all this talent, and I'm not capitalizing or tapping into any of it? It seems like every time I think that I'm going to get an opportunity, something's always in the way. There's a barrier that comes up. And so I went through a stage of depression. I went through a stage of oppression, suppression, all those pressions. Okay. I went through all that. I suffered through all that. But as I was watching my children, watching them grow up, and every year in the summertime, I'd have house full of kids and just different things or another. So what can I do with them to entertain them for the summer weeks or even the summer months? Because some I had for months on end. What can I do to entertain them? So that got me into really thinking that I don't have to settle for what life is throwing out at me. If I can make a difference in these children's life, who I am responsible for 24 hours a day for a longer length of time, what kind of difference or what kind of impact can I make in the lives of other children? And so I went back to school, got an education to become a teacher, only to find that my community, the school district, did not want to hire little old me. I was only hired to drive the bus. So I drove the bus. That was not good enough. So I opened up my own school. I had the knowledge, I had the ability, I had the education. So I created a nonprofit for just out of an idea or a passion or a talent or ability that I had anyway. And so on that note, I'm still able to make a difference in the lives of children, not on the public education's terms, but on my own terms.
Now, wait a minute. Back up here for a second. As you were speaking, you said that you realized that you had this untapped talent. Mm-hmm. Now, how did you come to that realization? Was that something that from the inside out, or was that based upon something that other people were observing about you and mentioning? Because, you know, a lot of times we may find ourselves in that same position to where we have all this potential, mm-hmm. and maybe it's a situation
that potential is different.
We don't, well, I mean, you know, the talent, the talent, we actually do have the talent, mm-hmm. and we could potentially do something more with that talent, but some of us we don't see it necessarily, and other people may. So tell me, in your case, you say you realized you had this talent. Was that an inward thing, or how did you discover that?
Absolutely an inward thing, because when you run up against as much rejection and as many barriers as I have up until this point, those things are designed and created to stop you. And if you're operating just in the potential of a thing, you're waiting on an ideal situation. And the graveyard is full of people with potential who were waiting for an ideal situation to present itself. Now, the difference with talent, you're not going to be held down by your boundaries, because if the path is not already created for you, you're going to get out there and be confident enough in your own ability to create it. And so that's the difference. It's easy for me to still sit back here. Now that's back in 2003 when all of that started, when I began to create and put together. And it didn't happen overnight, but I was still dreaming, still working toward it. I started out educating in one way, and it has manifested itself in a whole nother way. So over the years, did it evolve? Yes, because it has me matured to that point. And that's another thing, why we sit on our talents, why we sit on what we know we are gifted to do, is because it doesn't start out looking like we see it. Because when we're looking with our natural eyes, it looks different. You have to be able to be a visionary. So that vision sees beyond what the natural eyes see, and you have to trust the process. If I have a seed in my hand and I plant a seed in the ground, that seed is not going to necessarily sprout up overnight. It's going to take time to see the manifestation in that in which you planted. And so that's the difference. And so do you trust the process? Do you trust yourself enough to create a path that is not created for you? So I knew what was in me. It wouldn't let me rest. I keep dreaming about it. I keep talking about it. I keep writing about it, journaling about it, setting goals about it, what I'm going to do. I'm researching about it. And so I knew eventually, even though it didn't manifest itself overnight, that it was going to come to pass. And so now I'm able to educate not only children, but an entire family. I'm able to educate adults. And so I don't have those boundaries. I'm not limited by what I can teach or what I can do. That passion that's in me to help others improve and to stir up their own gifts and talents that they have within them, it's manifested. And it's still in the early phases of its manifestation. And I can see things that are so much greater. But guess what? I keep dreaming about it. I keep researching about it. I keep studying about it. And eventually it is going to manifest.
Yes. And I see, because apparently visionary, that's your word for the year. Because we had a different meeting, and that was one of the topics, be a visionary. So that is amazing. So you took this passion of yours for educating or figuring out first how to teach kids, and then that just grew into something more
outside the box, right? Totally outside the box.
Yes. And not only that, I mean, you got some other, nowadays, I guess the term a lot of people use is side hustles, that you do as far as like making gift baskets and whatnot. And so these are all different things, additional streams of income. And so we're just sharing today to maybe encourage our listeners to say, hey, this isn't something that just say Anntricia can do, or whoever else you see in your life doing these things. This is something you can do too if you have it in you.
Absolutely. And you'd be amazed at the places when I go and speak to women, how many of them don't even know what they're good at. They don't even know what their talents are. And I call it a lie. You may not be willing to share or be willing to acknowledge it because it seems small to you, but we all have a gift. We are born, destined, and created with that gift, with that talent, and it is divinely connected to our ability to generate wealth and to provide an additional stream of income for our families. Working a 9-to-5, it may pay you a good wage, but it is not, your wealth is not built into that. Many of us working 9-to-5s, if we just be honest, whatever we make, if we're not disciplined with what we're spending, whatever we make, we're spending it quicker than we make it anyway. If we don't have a financial plan.
You didn't have to go there now, did you? Well, what is your the lady we listened to, what's her name, Lynn Richardson, what does she say? Living from payday to Monday, not check to check, but
from
payday
check to Monday. Yeah, check to Monday. That's right.
Don't even make it to the next.
Sometimes check to 2 o'clock. Well, I can tell you for years, I was that check to 2 o'clock. Okay, from that check to if we got paid at noon, it was probably check to noon 30. Okay, so we just got to be honest about that. Our wealth is not tied up into that 9-to-5. And yes, it may pay us a good wage, but many of us, we live above our means. Many of us, we started out, we didn't have a financial education. Start talking about additional streams of income and stuff like that, and we look at you like you're crazy. But everything that we possess, no matter how small it seems, is divinely connected to our wealth and our ability to capitalize on that. to generate additional streams of income. I am a business. You are a business. There's gifts and talents in you. It's up to you to get out there and make it happen. So for me to think that I own my own school because I'm so smart and there's nobody else smarter than me, that's lies, lies, and more lies, okay? For me to have another business that I put out for my daughter to create gift baskets and things like that, because I do it the best. Lies, lies, lies. For me to write books so that others can hear my words and be empowered and find enough confidence to step out and live out their own dreams, because I'm the best writer out there. Lies, lies, and more lies. For me to be on platforms and speak and to give a word that encourages your soul. Lies, lies, lies. I'm not the best at it. But I have to be willing to do what it takes to take this that's burning on the inside of me and give it to a world who needs it, not to die with it still inside of me and all my potential go and lay out in a cold grave.
Well, I, for one, appreciate you for not doing that, because in addition to being my sister and my friend, you are also my mentor. So you have helped me. You have helped me through some things, helped me as far as being more visible and writing the book with the kids. So you are a good teacher. I applaud you. If you're just now joining us for the Money and Mindset podcast, we are talking about turning your passions into profits. Now, if you are by chance someone who has been doing this and you're considering maybe giving up your regular 9 to 5 and go full swing into your own business, there are some things that you want to consider before you take the leap. And Anntricia she hit it to one of them earlier when she mentioned as far as like the income, that check, the steady income. So, one thing to think about when you decide to take that leap is benefits. If your 9 to 5 provides you with your health care and or child care benefits, or contributions to a retirement plan,
or even education,
tuition reimbursement, or so if your job offers those types of benefits before you take that leap, you may want to make a plan as to how you're going to replace that, what your plan's going to be so that you don't lose that. Another thing to think about, depending upon where you are, if your company offers, say, like long-term incentives, like say if they offer either a bonus, a cash bonus, or any type of stock options that they'll vest and pay to you on certain dates, check those dates. You don't want to find out, you leave on a Friday and they were going to give you so much money on that following Monday. You don't want to leave money on the table. So check out all the benefits that you're currently getting and decide if it's something that, if you could do without it completely, or if it's something you want to substitute and come up with another way to get it once you leave.
Yeah, I think that's important to know, because, I shared in the last episode or so how even my mother making a transition from working full-time over retirement. So one of the things, and I've seen some people do it, and some of them have been successful at doing it. They just quit one day and then they just take the risk, take the leap. Everybody's situation is not the same. And so I suggest that you really look at what you have tied up into that 9 to 5 and start making preparation to set yourself in place to make sure you have those things in order. What kind of finances do you have already put back that you've saved? What kind of discipline and spending habits you have? Make sure you have a good working budget that's going to sustain you. Because even when we have great ideas, that does not mean that we're going to automatically be successful. And so you want to look at the cost of pulling out that retirement from that company you're leaving. What is it really going to cost you? And you take all that money to invest in a business that you don't know if it's going to work or not, you know? Look at the people, your support system, your team. That matters too, because we could get out here and say we're going to do anything, but sometimes it takes about 5 years. And I got to be honest with you, for your business and your thing, up to 5 years. Let me just say that, up to 5 years for it to really get mature enough to sustain, especially if you're not in a franchise or something like that, that's already established a brand or a name for itself. So you have to give yourself planning. You know, I've been at this a while, and there's some businesses that have matured beyond my having to sit there and nurse over it. And yet I have new businesses that I'm building and growing as time go on. And so when I say additional streams of income, it's just that. There's some businesses that does well. There's some that's just in the first phases of manifestation, and they're growing legs in order to sustain. But I still have to nurse over that. And so it takes time, and it takes sometimes even my own money for or transfer of money. And it takes discipline on my part to be able to give those businesses the attention that they need so that they too can mature and manifest in its greatness. Okay. But many of us, we invest all this money, we leave that 9 to 5. And then when that business hit that slow point, we wonder what the heck have we done? And we wonder where have the money went? And we panic. We go into panic mode, and we find ourselves in debt. We find ourselves looking for jobs, scheming, robbing Peter to pay Paul, because we did not always plan or allow enough flexibility in that business plan for the hard times.
You know, you got to have that cushion.
I don't care what kind of business you have. And I learned this from a good old boy, Jimmy Bray. Businesses have its high seasons and there's the low seasons, and you have to plan in the high seasons to balance out the low seasons. So it's a learning process, but your passion can definitely profit for you if you're willing to put in the work. If you're willing to exercise a level of discipline and self-control and learn what you need to learn and be able to collaborate and connect with people that can help you along the way and be smart about what it is that you're doing. And so that means you're connecting with people who are already doing or have already done what you're trying to do, so that they can help minimize some of the turbulence along the route.
All right, guys. I think Miss Anntricia Bray Smith has shared a lot of gems with us. For us, I think once you listen to this, go back and listen to it again, because you know, she's told us, hey, you got to put in the work, you got to be disciplined, and you got to be willing to continue to learn. So
and then
with that,
me clarify, because hearing you say that back to me just put up a red flag. When I say do the work, that work is on yourself first. Remember how I started out this segment when I talked about my background and how all of that played a role in what I was coming up against, how it was designed to stop me. The work starts with you first. Now, anybody can have a business, but I can tell you, you are going to be the face of that business if it's yours. And if you have not done the work on you from the inside out, it's going to reflect and spill over into your business, into your passion, into your brand. So the work When I say willing to do the work, that's that inner work first as it manifests on the outside to those other things that are attached to you, those things that you're birthing out.
All right. Thank you, ma'am, for that clarification. All right, guys. If you have any questions or comments for us here at the Money and Mindset Podcast, do reach out to us. Send us an email to moneyandmindsetpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, take care.